oftentimes definitions of validity boil down to really the understanding that a test should test what it's supposed to test. And does that make sense to you? You may very well want to ask, well, what should a test test then? And there's a lot of different answers to that. And we talk about validity being a multifaceted concept. I'm going to talk to you about two of those facets in particular that I hope is going to answer the question, what should a test test? The most obvious answer is that a test should test what you've taught. And there should be a very clear link between things that you've taught in class and the tests that you develop. The test should look quite similar. The test activities and the test items should look quite similar to what your students have done in class. And of course, what they've done in class should be directly translatable to your curriculum objectives or your outcomes or your course outline with the outcomes or objectives stated clearly on that. So there should be a direct link between your stated objectives, what you've done in class, and what the students are doing in their test. And if there's a good match between what you've taught and what you're testing, then we call that content validity. So that's what they say when we say, oh, that test is content valid. That's really good. It means that there's a really good match between what was taught in class and what was tested. You may think then that testing what you should test is an easy thing. But in fact, and actually, tests are getting quite a bit better now than they have in the past in terms of we're looking at standardized tests. Standardized tests are more valid than they have been in the past. But let's consider the kind of thing that might happen in an oral test. Let's say you've been teaching an oral skills class and you've been working on pronunciation. And you decide, however, that for your final test, you don't actually have time to do an individual test one-on-one with the students. And so you decide, in order to save time, that you're going to have a written test of phonetics. And certainly, phonetics plays into good knowledge of phonetics, plays into good pronunciation. But we would say there that that's really questionable content validity, because if you've been teaching the class in a very oral way where your students have been working and producing oral texts, then to be tested in a written form, that's completely switching the skill on them and the focus. So we would say that that's questionable content validity.